Hello, everyone. Today we'll talk about the specific laws concerning the Kiddush cup, the goblet, and there's a few very interesting ideas. I'll just say that one of the shortest chapters that I've ever seen is in Brachos. It's only 4.5 pages, and it talks about something that most people today don't even practice. So let's get to it. So the sages ordained that a number of brachot be recited over a kos, a goblet of wine, such as the bracha over betrothal, erusin, marriage, birkat hamazon, grace after meals, kiddush, and havdalah. Since these brachot are made over a kos to glorify God, it is proper that the kos itself be pretty and elegant. The sages established the following rules about it. So first of all, the kos must be whole, meaning that if it has a hole in it without the W, um, then the people will be concerned about it spilling, and so they won't fill it, especially not past this hole or crack. And so, without defects or breaks on the rim or the base, if the kos is not whole, but no other kos is available, one may still use it b'diavad. However, if it is cracked to the point that the wine leaks out, leaving less than a revi'it, it may not be used. And we don't know the time span, but obviously that is the concern. Even while I'm saying the blessing over the Kiddush, that the wine will leak out and then we won't have the 86 cc like we talked about yesterday. If there are several available cups, one should pick out the nicest one to use for the bracha. Many use a silver goblet for Kiddush. If the only kos available is a plastic disposable one, it may be used b'diavad. But I've seen sometimes in the Yeshiva and other places where if they only have a plastic disposable cup, they put two, one into the other. That way it looks different from the others, and that way it's at least distinguished in a way like that. So, but really, it really is b'diavad. The kos must be thoroughly clean. If it was drunk from or otherwise got dirty, it must be washed inside and out. B'diavad, if it is difficult to wash the kos, one may wipe it out and clean it using a napkin because there's not always water available for that. But the idea was that if something is contaminated, whether it's dirt or actual germs, people won't want to drink from it. And then again, we are not giving the proper respect to the wine and to the cup. And obviously to Hashem, but I'm saying through the wine and cup. Although a kos that holds a revi'it is sufficient, if a larger cup is used, there is a mitzvah to fill it up all the way, since it is more dignified for the bracha to be made over a full cup. Some are accustomed to fill the kos to overflowing, to that point to that whoever is making kiddush will probably spill wine on his hand. It would seem preferable to fill the kos close to the top, but not to overflowing, so that the wine does not spill. There's two major concerns about this. One is bal tashchit. We're not allowed to waste, and nobody's going to drink wine that's spilled on the table or on the floor or on the hands of the person doing the kiddush. And the second one is what it talks about in this Gemara and Brachot, where this is what the sages meant when they spoke of a full kos. And by the way, kos maleh is the source for the gematria, going back to what we said yesterday. Instead of 86 cc, which is kos maleh, maleh is full, so that's 41. So 41 plus 86. I think that's how they got to it. I'm not sure exactly. Anyway, proof of this is the explanation given of Beit Hillel's opinion in Brachot 52b. So in those days, we have to realize, and it's very strange for us to think about it like this, but in those days, there was no such thing as tablecloths. Only very rich people had tablecloths. And so the concern with the wine spilling on the table was that the table itself will become susceptible to impurity, and there's no way to take a whole table into the mikvah. And this is something that today we aren't what's called ochel chulin betahara. We don't eat our food and bread in complete purity. But that was the custom while the temple was built. We know that Hillel himself was lived 100 years before the Churban, so approximately 30 BC, and so That was a usual discussion between Beit Hillel and Beit Shammai, but they went back and forth talking about what is the reason why we're not supposed to have a full glass, and they talked about nitzotzot, that the sprinklers of the water or wine or one of the other seven liquids spill and can cause again something to be susceptible to tumah, to impurity. If one drank from the wine while it was in the kos or directly from the wine bottle, the wine remaining in the kos or bottle is called pagum and considered unfit for sacramental purposes when necessary. So that means that if we already took from the wine, but then somebody comes and says, "Oh, I still haven't had Kiddush," one can fix pagum wine by adding non-defective wine to it. Once the additional wine is added, all the wine is considered new. If the wine is strong, one can fix it by adding water instead, the mazug, which we talked about yesterday. But diavad, if there is no way to fix the wine, one may make Kiddush on pagum wine, but then, as far as I remember, you'd still have to transfer it to another cup. The sages stated that one should first take the kos in both hands in order to show how dear it is. Then, when making kiddush, one should hold the kos in the right hand, while in which is the more important one. He should hold the kos with all his fingers so that they cradle the cup. He should lift the kos, the tefach, above the table so that it is visible to all that he is lifting it. He should look at the kos so that he is not distracted. If he needs to, he should look in a prayer book, obviously, but it is best to place it adjacent to the kos so that he can see both. After he drinks from the wine, he should give some to his wife so that the blessing spreads to both of them. And I'm going to skip the distributing wine to all present because we have a few minutes, and I wanted to share with you a story which I think we mentioned earlier, but now I finally found the source. The source is in Yeshurun, which was a Torah publication in the beginning of the 20th century, and this is from 1912, a true story about Edmund de Rothschild. Sorry, this isn't the right one. It's the next one. So Edmund de Rothschild, the Baron, he invited a lot of people, including rabbis, to a banquet. And when they finished the davening and they went into the banquet, they found on the table only goblets and wine. And they were concerned, what should we do? We're supposed to, according to this halacha, which we'll get to either tomorrow or next week, it talks about eating b'makom making kiddush b'makom suda, in the place where you're going to eat, and there was nothing there to eat, not even what they thought was, not even mizonos. And then the Baron came into the hall, and filled his goblet with the wine and made the kiddush, and then he made boremine mezonot and ate the goblet, which apparently was made of a mixture of flour and chocolate. That's how rich he was. And then Rav Chaim Ozer, who was sitting right next to him, was honored to do the next blessing, and he was pondering this for a few minutes, and then did exactly like the Baron did. Rav Chaim Ozer Gordinsky, he later became one of the Rosh Yeshivas before the Holocaust, and afterwards, his students asked, why did you do that? Like, what you were thinking about? And he said that there's halacha, which we'll talk about when we get to Hamotzi, which the bread is supposed to be covered because of its embarrassment, because Kiddush is supposed to be after Mezonot and Hamotzi, not before. But because of the Kedusha of Shabbat, that's how we changed the order. And I think this is a very famous halacha, but it also includes, according to most poskim, mezonos, the blessing on baked goods, not only challah. And so he was wondering, if I'm holding the cup and it's mezonos in my hand, there's no greater shame for the mezonos that it's, after the kiddush. But he said, on the other hand, if I don't make the kiddush the way that the Baron Rothschild did, I'll be embarrassing him. So I choose to not embarrass a person rather than not embarrass an inanimate object. And I think that's an amazing lesson to us about eating, making Kiddush Makom Suda, and learning about how to treat people and how to respect Hashem and His laws. And we'll stop here.